In my hands right here is the first ever D&D campaign I ever wrote, I ever ran. At this point, I had not run any pre-written modules. All I knew about D&D is what I knew from NADPOD and Dimension 20. And I decided that I just wanted to write my own thing. I thought that would be super fun, and it was. And let me tell you, this is terrible. This is probably the worst thing I've ever made. This is comically bad. I haven't looked at this in probably 5 to 6 years. I found it in some of my old D&D stuff. I read about a paragraph, and then I was like, this is something that needs to be shared with the world. I originally ran this with my roommates in college. They were lacrosse players, had never touched a TTRPG in their lives. Neither had I, but I, at least at the time, listened to some podcasts and knew some varying degrees of how the game worked. And I decided the best way to go about it for both of us to learn was to just make my own thing, and that's exactly what this is. So now I have the pleasure of reading this here. I don't think it has a title. I will say I have lost some original parts that I hope to find in the future in some Google Drive somewhere, but this is past the first level. This is level 2, and I think it's like the second arc of this. The first time they were fighting spiders inside of a basement somewhere. And then this is what came out of it. So without further ado, let's get into the first ever module I wrote. In the middle of town, there's a large shrine put together to what looks like stratified people that have been cemented together. Okay? Note these are my DM notes. These are not, like, I don't read this to my players. This is just something to remind me, and I thought the best way to do it was to write it like a book. On top, there's a tiefling devil man. Not what a tiefling is. On top, there is a tiefling devil man sitting on top. Okay, so on top, there's a tiefling devil man sitting on top of them holding a large staff with a steam whistle at the top. Pretty cool. I like that. That's a good idea. On the bottom, not the statue, the steam whistle on a staff is kind of funny. On the bottom of the shrine, there's a plaque that reads, "Pray to your god of caution, Sipater, for his wisdom is the only reason the 9 hells can exist." Okay, kind of weird to have in the middle of a town. If a player prays to the shrine, they are awarded with an additional 20 hit points. In an encounter, they have a -5 on initiative, and if they are within 5 feet of an enemy, they must make a Constitution saving throw or be afraid. You know the condition, afraid. There's about 9 different things wrong with this. I remember, for those of you wondering, this is not 20 temporary hit points. This would be a permanent 20 HP buff. That is crazy. That is insane. Typically in D&D, you would get temporary HP until it goes away from a long rest or losing it in combat. A 20 HP buff is a large number. If you were to have a level 2 wizard with like 13 or 14 HP to then go up to 34, they are matching with the barbarian. That's not how that works. This is also a crazy huge buff for any spellcaster, and if any martial class were to take this, it would be the biggest nerf. It also doesn't say how long this would last. I knew the 20 HP buff was permanent. I don't know about the -5 on initiative, which is insane. You would need to take the alert feat even to just balance out to get to where you were before. So if they pray to it, there's that. If they give an offering, they are then resistant to all physical damage until a long rest. That is not unheard of. Physical damage would be like non-magic bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. At this level, that would be a lot of damage coming in, but it ends on a long rest. It depends on what the offering would be. I think now I would make something a little bit more interesting. I hate giving like flat temp HP or like resistances in a game that I run now. If a player is going to go out of their way to offer something, I'd like to give them something unique to whatever deity they're going for. I had a DM of mine run something about a luck of God, and they stole one of their gems, and they weren't able to crit. They would have to take like halfling luck, so that if they rolled a 20, they'd have to re-roll and take the new number, and if they roll a 20 again, then they would take it. That's interesting. Shop of goods. In the east side of town, there is a small shop. Half of it has sunk into the ground, without Sigil telling them that it was a consignment shop. Okay, Sigil, I think, was, you know, the DM NPC, the compass, to be like, oh, you should go here, this is who this is, yada, yada, yada. I still use characters like that in my game because I believe in railroading. I'll probably make a video about that in the future. They would have no idea. There, of course, is no reality where Sigil didn't tell them because I am the DM. that is my DM NPC telling them, so I don't know whose information that is for other than myself. When they enter the shop, they instantly notice how half of the items have piled up on the right side of the shop where it's sinking into the ground. It's fine. There's a small woman sitting on a makeshift wheelchair whose skin seems to be stretched over her body like a balloon. Okay, got some hypertension characters. That's nice to establish in the world. She has no eyes, but is breathing very slowly. She has no eyes. But, however, in return for that, she's breathing very slowly. Okay? Typically, I'll make bullet points for stuff like this. I definitely won't say, like, I'll probably make it up on the fly. I'll have an image of the character in my mind before the session starts. I wouldn't have to write or prep this much. This is definitely like a first-time DM thing. The party's able to buy any supplies here that are in the item list. I think that means like the general Dungeon Master kind of item list that they have. If they persuade the shopkeep, deceive her, or intimidate her higher than 10, she will say she has a potion of strength. Okay, there's already so much. There's so much going at me. Okay, so if they persuade her in any way, persuade her for what? Who knows? If they deceive her for what? I have no idea. Or intimidate her. This poor, stretchy-skinned old lady with no eyes, if they intimidate her higher than a DC of 10, then this is what you get. You get a potion of strength, not a potion of Hill Giant strength. This was something I made up all on my own, which increased melee attacks with a +5 on damage. Insane number. So high. And a +3 on attack until a rest. Okay, short rest, long rest, I probably meant either, but it's nice to specify for these things because you're gonna give a player this item and they need to know. Typically when some kind of attribute is changed to like strength, the actual attribute on your character sheet is the thing that will change, not just the random number of 2 hits. So when you look at a player sheet and you have your attributes on one side, you add that number plus proficiency bonus with the actual item, and then that is what gives you the attack. +5 on the items you're proficient with, +5 on spells. Is it everything? Typically, that's why they give it to an attribute bonus as opposed to just a flat +5. And then a +3 on attack. So that, like, the math doesn't even really add up there. That's definitely just a random number I wrote down. I added a fill light because I went to 4 years of film school and it's now kicking in. Where did we leave off? If, big if, capitals, if they persuade her higher than a 15, she tells them to pay her $100 in gold and hit her with their axe. I'm surprised I don't have it written down, but I have a vague memory of what happened. I had this great, cool idea that somehow the shopkeep would tell the players to hit. Also, I love that it says an axe, because I knew one of my martial characters had an axe. I remember if they took a melee weapon and hit the shopkeep, they would get an additional 2d4 fire damage per hit forever. Permanent buff. I remember I very much shoehorned that into my players, and I was like, they had no idea what I meant, but one of them ended up doing it. It's a whole thing. The Alchemist, for $50, they can get a healing potion. What kind? Who knows? I certainly didn't at the time. They get a healing potion. Is there more? Is there more than one? There is. To go from 100 gold to $50 is very funny. Okay, the tavern. Finally, when the party is ready for the tavern, they head that way. When they walk in, they notice that there are a lot of people dressed similar to Sidril, minus the skeleton part. I don't remember Sidril being a skeleton. I guess I'm just saying that they wear the same thing, but they're not a skeleton. They're all wearing dusters. Black vests with red undershirts. They have a red gem across their neck. Their eyes are covered with a leather strap, but they seem to be able to see just fine. This is giving me nightmares to the XP to level 3 videos where he's reading the worst homebrew in the world. This is what I was making. I was watching those videos at the time being like, those idiots, I got cool in my game. If they're able to get a perception check of 22 or higher, 22 or higher, they notice that something is very wrong. Something is very wrong. 22 is insane for this level. That is an extremely high check. They'd have to roll pretty dang high to get a 22. When they enter the tavern, everyone begins watching them. In the middle of the tavern sits a Leonin who is dressed like the others across the bar. If they attempt to leave, everyone will draw their swords. If they sit down, then the men move in closer. This is the stuff I take out now in DM prep. This is like something I'd have in my mind. I know it would be there. It's not something I forget. I typically write down town names. Stuff like this it's just not needed when you prep. The main guy's name is Tattoo Battlescar. Cool name. And he runs the Red Gems, a local mercenary group out of Black Rock. You do not have to write down what your character's gonna say. Have a general idea of it. It's gonna save you a lot of time. Sidril, please sit down. Guys, welcome to my book reading. Welcome to the novel I'm writing. Hello, Tattoo. What poor soul are you hunting down in my neck of hell? I'm not here on a job, Sidril. Why would you be this? I'm not even reading. This is not DM notes. This is not DM notes. This is crazy. I can't believe I used to write out my dialogue. Did I refer to it? That's insane. I'm not here on a job, Sidril. Why? Would there be a reason for a price on your head? Dude, this is getting more and more difficult to get through. No, not even the barbed want me. There's a different feeling in Minoros. Started just hours ago. We were on our way to... I know that is not a real D&D city. What was I thinking, dude? What was I thinking? When we heard his voice, you know who we are talking about. The men in the room start laughing. I'm writing a book. I'm writing a book. This is not... Do not do this to yourself. Do not do this to yourself. At what point do I involve my players? The crazy thing is, we weren't told to hunt anyone down. Just wait here at this tavern in Craggle Rock, and they'll come to us, and well, what do you know? The entire tavern turns their attention to the gang. 9 other times before this, I had said that that everyone in the bar had turned towards the gang and moved closer. Sidril remains quiet, looking down at a gem and back up at Tattoo. Savin would be able to hear the souls within the gem. Okay. Okay. Who's Savin? I look back at this and I was like, I've never been this bad of a writer. Some more can happen here, but improvise then make Sidril or someone else attack Tattoo. That is probably the realest and best thing I wrote this whole page. Because that is all you have to write. That is all you have to write. Make it up as you go. Just have fun with it. It's funny that I wrote that because at the time it was probably like, that is what made me laugh. This now is like, this is how my notes are. This is how every DM's notes should be. Suddenly, the body of Tattoo starts shaking vigorously. Teeth come out of the roof and from the ground, and as the illusion breaks, the gang realizes they're standing on a tongue that must make a DC 10 athletics check to jump out of the mouth. So to make a perception that they are in danger is 22. To jump out of a mouth of a building is a DC 10 athletics. When they jump out, they realize that the entire town is on fire and destroyed. When they turn around, they are face to face with an adult blue dragon. This was stolen from the SpongeBob movie. I'll tell you right now, this was stolen from the SpongeBob movie. I remember that at the time too, that somehow this person, this Leonin, is a tongue. That's from the SpongeBob movie. Depending on how much time is left for the session, they can choose to go either to Black Rock or to... The best thing I wrote was, some more shit can happen here, but improvise, then make Sidril or someone else attack Tattoo. And then the other one was, depending on how much time is left for the session, they can choose to either go to either of the 2 cities. Because you don't need the rest. And you definitely don't need a whole page. A whole section of a page of dialogue. Okay, well that is session 1 that we went through. I think we played for 2-hour sessions as well. If you guys want to hear the rest, I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 more pages of absolute garbage. And if you want to hear the rest of it, let me know down in the comments below. This is just something I wanted to air out. And even if you're a new DM, give you some points and tips. If you want to know the rest of the story, let me know down in the comments below. And this is the end of the video. Bye.